Larry here. I'm back to do part 2 of my October reading wrap up. I will admit, in the middle of October and November, I'm a little bit of a reading slump, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I haven't been feeling my best, or I'm just struggling to find books that really connect with me. But I am struggling to read, and hopefully it will kind of edge itself out in a couple of days. But I have been struggling. I've been picking up books that I haven't been loving, and that's sort of been contributing to my reading slump. So just as a note. But I did want, in the second half of the month, I did want up finishing 9 things. Most of them I did enjoy, but the ones that I didn't really did bring me down to edge. So the first book that I finished reading was Lake Edge, and this was sort of the one that really dragged me down. But here is a photo. The cover is stunning. One that I didn't love as much as I thought I was going to. You basically follow this brother and a sister, and they are sent to this mansion to live with this guy, and there is a magical component to it. It reminded me a little bit of Keeper of the Night, and I like that book a little bit better. This book was very romance heavy, and I struggled with that a little bit. The writing style didn't capture me as much, so I only gave it 3 stars, probably 2.75 stars to be very, very honest. I think the highlight for me was the relationship between the brother and the sister, but the romance really did not capture me as much, and I really struggled with the romance, so I think it dragged down my enjoyment quite a bit, and that's why I only gave it 3 stars for review. I don't know if I'm necessarily gonna read the sequel necessarily, but it was okay. It definitely wasn't my favorite, and I struggled to get through it. I really, really love this month. So I really loved Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendra Blake. Earlier in the month, I read all These Bodies by her, and I really liked it. This also has a male protagonist, which I've been really enjoying recently. So you follow this character. His name is Kaz, and he is a ghost hunter. And he kind of is going throughout his life trying to kill these ghosts. But when he encounters Anna, a ghost, his whole world changes. It's a trio of characters that are working together. It's set in I feel like it's set in older, it feels like I'm reading a book set in historical fiction times. It's not, but that's sort of what I read it as. It reminded me a lot of the writing style that I read in All These Bodies. I really like this one. I'm really excited. I liked Anna. I like Kaz. I like the trio of characters that develop. That is a small trope I like when there's 3 characters working together to solve a mystery or solve a problem. Blame the Harry Potter effect, but I really do like that. I wound up giving this one 4 stars for review, and I'm really excited to read Girl of Nightmares because I do not know where that book is going to go. This one was very, very exciting, though, for me. I really liked it. And then the next book that I read was another one that's taken me a really long time to read, and that is Born Wicked by Jessica Spotswood. I really, again, really like this book. It's been on my TBR forever. I think I got this one at book outlet back in the day when I was still supporting them. But this one follows 3 sisters that are all witches in this it reminded me of reading a Regency romance. Their magic is outlawed. You can't be a witch. And they are sort of dealing with some dangerous elements as they sort of encounter their lives. Their mother recently passed away. Their dad is sort of outside their life. And I just love the main romance in this book quite a bit. I'd give this one 4 stars for review. I really like this. I've been putting off reading this one for so long. So happy that I picked it up. 4 stars, and I'm really going to try to read the sequels a little bit faster because I really enjoyed this one. Definitely Anna Dressed in Blood and Born Wicked were probably my 2 favorites, and my next one I also really, really enjoyed as well. My next physical book I really enjoyed. But the next book I'm going to talk about is an audiobook, and that is The Triple Chocolate Cheesecake Murder by Joanne Fuca. Here's a photo. Because it is the 24th book in a series. These are cozy mysteries set in a bakery. I said this before. These books are fun to me. I love the character. I love the side characters. I love the small town in Minnesota. I'm not the biggest fan of how she writes women. I'm not the biggest fan of all the double explanation. You'll get a point of view from Hannah and then you'll explain it to somebody else, and it all seems we're waiting, we're getting the same information over and over and over again. The mysteries aren't the greatest. The one thing I did like about this book is it connected back to all the characters that I know well. So it was a murder connected to someone that we've known for the past 24 books. So I did like that a lot. I gave 3 stars, but they're fun. They're engaging. They make me really, really hungry when I'm reading them because they talk about these delicious desserts. But yeah, so it was fun. It's enjoyable. At this point, I'm in it to win it because I want to read all of them. But they're definitely like a lighter read and not as heavy, definitely not as mystery focused. And the characterization for the female characters don't always wow me, to be honest. Um, but the next book that I did read was one that I really enjoyed. Again, it took me forever to read it, but that is Labyrinth Lost by Zeraya Cordova, and I really like this one as well. Again, it took me so long to read it. But you basically follow this girl named Alex, and she's a bruja. She does not want to be a witch. She is like adamant she doesn't want to, so she decides on her commitment ceremony to magic, she is going to give away her magic, and when she does that, she sends her family away. She sends her family to hell, basically, and she has to work with 3 other people to get them back. And it was just a fun adventure story. It reminded me a lot of Percy Jackson. I'm a big Percy Jackson fan. I also read Keeper of the Night recently, and that reminded me a lot of Percy Jackson. I loved it. I really liked it. I wound up giving it 4 stars. I love the diversity. I love the representation. I loved her writing style, and I definitely want to pick up Bruja Born. I have it on my TBR, but it was great. Again, another book I wish I hadn't waited so long to read. And I mean, the highlights of this reading month were definitely these. They were all witchy, and I waited so long to read them, and I'm so upset about that, but I really did enjoy them. And then the next book I read was also another ebook that I also really enjoyed, and that's Pahu and the Soul Stealer. So maybe I didn't struggle as much with reading as I thought I did. But some of the books that I've been reading recently, I have been struggling with. So maybe that's why I said at the start of the video. Write and Present series. It's written by the author that wrote Forest of Souls, which I also really, really loved. And this follows a young girl who's part of the Hmong community. If you, like me, are a big gymnastics fan, this is the background of Suni Lee, the new world Olympic champion on the all-around. And once I learned that about her, I wanted to learn more about her culture and her history. So this was like a really interesting look into that, and I really enjoyed it. I said this before, I love where the Rick Riordan Presents stories focus on siblings and sisterhoods and like brother relationships with siblings and saving your siblings, because that's something I love. I am an only child, so when I read about other brothers and sisters having a good relationship and doing everything to save their lives, I love it. So I followed this girl. She unknowingly is a shaman who is connected to spirits. She can always sort of see and hear spirits, but no one really believes her. Her brother doesn't believe her, but when her brother is taken or her brother is really, really sick based on this experience, she kind of goes on an adventure with an actual shaman to save the day. It was a delight. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I love learning more about the Hmong culture. It was great. I gave it 4.5 stars. We'll definitely be reading the sequel, and I really enjoyed this one. So definitely go check that one out. It was perfect, like Halloween related read for sure. And then the next book I listened to was A Southern's Book Club Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Here's a photo. Struggled with this book a little bit. I listened to it on audio, and I think it's just because I am not the biggest fan of horror. I've always said that, like, horror stuff always scares me. I don't really watch scary movies, but I wanted to read this because I was intrigued enough. I liked it. I think I gave it only 3 stars. I really like sped up the audiobook. I listened to it on 3-point speed just because I really don't like the horror elements. I was intrigued. I am more intrigued to read My Best Friend's Exorcism by the same author, because in the author notes in the photo he said that like it's not like a sequel and a companion book, but they're sort of like meant to be 2 sides of the same exact coin. One is the kids' experience and one is the adults' experience. And now that I've read the adults' experience, I want to sort of read the kids' experience just for like the hell of it. So I might see if my library has the audiobook, because I'm intrigued enough to read it. But it definitely wasn't my favorite. I really, really liked. It's set in 1426, and you basically follow these 2 sisters, and their father has gone missing. Their father is a detective, and the older sister, Min, she has to sort of uncover her father's mystery, what happened, why did her father go missing, how her father's gone missing is connected to these 13 girls that went missing over the past couple of years, and how it's connected to her going missing with her sister a couple of years before. The first part of this book was very, very slow paced. I did like that because you're learning a lot about the world and the characters, because it is based on historical fiction. There is an author note on the back that I would definitely recommend you read when you're done with it. I really like this book. I would love this to become a series, because I was really intrigued by the second half where like she was sort of forced how to learn how to be an investigator. I really liked it. So I wound up giving this one 4 stars. Definitely want to read more by this author in the future, because not only is it a very, very solid mystery, but it also dives a lot into the historical connotations of this world that I really am not familiar with. But yeah, it was very, very interesting. And then the last book I read was an ebook that I read just for a challenge I was doing. And it's another cozy mystery. The title's really long, but here's a photo. And I read it out of order, so it just follows this girl that like runs a bakery with with one of her friends. Her mom recently passed away. This was very, very fall themed. I did like it. I would probably definitely consider reading the other holiday themed ones around specific holidays. I liked it. I also wound up DNFing for the moment House of Furies by Madeline Rue. Again, this was sort of where I felt like I was in a reading slump because I didn't love this book as much as I wanted to, so that's why I DNF'd it. I am going to keep it on my shelf and see if I'm going to feel motivated to pick it up later. But yeah, that's all the books that I finished in the month of October. I am not reading as much as I want in November. Hopefully that will kind of kick and it will change. But I'll definitely see you guys for my next reading update. Bye, friends.